Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Monday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about World of Warcraft Midnight, the 11th expansion for World of Warcraft, and the early access or official launch of Midnight, which is going to be occurring this week on Thursday. And then obviously next week, we're going to have the official launch or the delayed launch, depending on how you want to go through it. We're not going to get into all of that stuff. We're just going to talk about the content and what's actually coming out in the game and what you can expect to be able to do if you do have early access versus what you're going to have to wait for, either for the official launch or for the season and all that. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hope that I'm not trying to upset anyone with the early access thing. I know that's a sensitive topic for a lot of people. Like, I paid for early access. I did. And if they do it again, I'll pay for it again. And that's just the reality. Do I love that that's how the industry is going? No, of course not. But is it going that way because people are going to pay, like people like me are going to pay? Yes. So anyway, we won't browbeat that one any further. There is a bunch of news that we are going to have to get there. Man, there's a lot of news and some whoppers. So we'll get into all that. But before we touch any of that stuff, I will do a very quick rundown of what I got to last week in WoW. When I say very quick, I'm lying because it's not going to be quick. So first off, I got to level 70 on my Hunter in the Burning Crusade Classic, or Anniversary. So that's cool. I did that, all done. Very happy with that. Then I got to 70. I did some of the Karazhan attunement quest chain before I had gotten to 70. So I did Shadow 11th at 69, and I did Steam Vault at 69. You have to get 3 fragments of this key to get into Karazhan, and then you have to have Medivh bless it or whatever he does when you get to the Black Morass. But in between Shadow Labyrinth and Steam Vault and the Black Morass is the Arcatraz. Now, Arcatraz has a couple of barriers to entry. First of all, you have to fly to get there. So you either need to be level 70 and have a flying mount, be a druid at level 68, which I'm not, I'm a hunter, or have a really good warlock friend who could summon you up there, which I don't. So I had to get to level 70. So I got to 70, no big deal. Purchased my flying mount, which I forgot how slow that 60% mount flying is. Oh man, it's painfully slow. I need about, 3,000 gold still to get my fast flying. So that's going to be a few minutes. But in the meantime, I got to level 70. I posted a screenshot of it on the Discord server of me killing an ogre and then dinging level 70 right afterwards. So you can get on the Discord server by going to AzerothUnitedPod.com. So I did that, and then I got into an Arcatraz group. Cool, no problems there. Got into a Black Morass group. Now, here's the thing with Black Morass. It's technically a slightly lower level than some of the other ones because I don't know why it just is. But the last boss hits hard. Actually, the second and third boss both hit really hard. So we went in there. We had a 68 paladin tank. And man, this poor guy was struggling. It was rough. He couldn't hold threat. He couldn't stay alive. It was a challenge. We did a full wipe, and everyone wanted to keep going, but this paladin, I guess, felt really bad. And so they bounced. And we got another paladin came in who was obviously a lot better gear. They were level 70, and then we cleared the place really quickly. But it brings home the point that in the Burning Crusade, it's a slight difference from Vanilla Classic. So in Vanilla Classic, you could go in there with a low level tank, not even spec'd as protection or whatever your class is. You could just pretty much do whatever. You could have a rogue tank, a lot of vanilla dungeons. Once you get into these Burning Crusade dungeons, they are actually hard. They actually require you to put in some effort. I've had some dungeons this week where I had to crowd control stuff, which I was like, what are we doing? And it was that transition from, so you had the vanilla dungeons and it was kind of the wild, wild west. The Burning Crusade dungeons were a lot more structured and a lot more specific. Here's how you have to do it. Here's the specs you need to be. Here's the whatever. And people were frustrated with that. They didn't like having to be forced into this particular situation. I've been in dungeons with druids who are really good, but they just can't hold AoE threat. So then the mage starts doing blizzard or whatever, and it's a mess. So obviously the response to that was Wrath of the Lich King, and dungeons were super easy. And then the pushback the other direction from Cataclysm when dungeons got hard again. It's been this back and forth with dungeons, which is why I think Blizzard has finally given up on trying to hit the mark dead on. And they've just decided we're just going to make normal dungeons easy. And then we'll make the difficulty in Mythic Plus, which does make sense. So anyway, all that being said, I finished all that. I got my Karazhan key. So I'm done with Karazhan attunement. I got a couple of pieces of my Beast Lord set. So for the hunter, the Beast Lord, it's a blue set that you get from drops. It's like one piece drops in Shattered Halls, one piece drops in Botanica, one piece drops in Mechanar, and two pieces drop in Steam Vault, right? All normal. You don't have to do any heroics. Hunters have one of the easiest routes to getting their gear. But it's a blue set. And so the conventional wisdom would say, well, once you get that, then you're going to go into Karazhan and get your tier and you're going to upgrade. No, this is actually the best in slot for hunters until you get to phase 2, which is the, tier 5 Tempest Keep Serpent Shrine Cavern gear. And the reason for it is because if you have a 4-piece set, you get 600 armor pen on not every attack, but every time you crit with Kill Command, you get a 15-second 600 armor pen, which is huge. It's a massive damage improvement for hunters. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I got 2 pieces of that. I got I got the shoulders from Steam Vault, and I got the chest from Botanica. So I'm still working on that set. It's not easy because getting into these groups, and 9 times out of 10, I get into a group, especially if it's a pug, there's already a hunter there. And it's like, do I really want to run this and then have the risk that this other hunter is going to win the role over me? I'd rather not. I don't want to be like some people want hard reserve stuff. And it's like, no. I want to just run the dungeon, but I don't want to start off on the wrong foot. Like if it's a guildie, fine. I'll run with guildies all day. But just doing a pug with another hunter, it feels kind of counterproductive. Anyway, so that's what I've been working on there. I'm trying to get my warriors mining up because I didn't get it to 300 before everything launched, and I don't want to go to Outland with sub 300 mining because I know as soon as I get to Outland with under 300 mining, there's going to be fell iron everywhere. So I don't want to do that either. So anyway, so that's where I am on that. Now, here comes the tricky part. So I was like, I'm going to raid. So I submitted my application for raid, which is what we have to do. Even if we've raided before, it's like just they want to have things by the book, and that's fine. They're super organized. I got it. No problem. I actually did an interview with the GM, Mick Faithful, last, it was like July, I think. Episode 90 something. Anyway, great guy, super organized, really well run guild. So I filled out the application for a raid spot. Not a problem. I was sure I'd get one, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go through the correct motions, and that's fine. So I'm filling out the application. One of the things on there is a checkbox that says I'm interested in guild leadership. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'll help out. I've done that before. I've done, helped out with different things, logistics and research or whatever it is. I've done that sort of thing before. And I thought, this is a good guild. I'll give back a little bit. I'll offer my help, whatever they need. It's fine. So I checked the box, and then I didn't think anything of it. So I got my response from the one of the personnel people in the guild, and he said, "Yeah, you're confirmed for your raid slot. Just make sure you say yes." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." So I did that, no problem. Then I got a message on Discord from the GM. He's like, "Hey, you checked this box that said you'd be interested in leadership. Do you have some time that we could talk about this on a Discord call?" And I thought, "Okay, sure, yeah, let's talk." So we got on a Discord call, and in my brain, I'm thinking, we did the podcast episode together, and maybe they want me to do some sort of podcasty thing, or I don't know, some sort of, do like a profile in the guild, do some YouTube videos. I don't know, something like that. So we get on this call, And it's him and a couple of other of the officers. I guess they're running down to do Old Hillsbrad or something. Anyway, so we're talking, and he's like, "So, what do you have in mind or whatever?" And it's like, "Well, I don't know. I just want to help. I'm not like ego driven. I don't have to do anything. I'm just, if there's something available for me, I'll do it." And he's like, "Well, we need you. We wanted to know if you'd be interested in running one of the raid teams." And I thought, wait, what? What? I'm sorry, come again? So they want me to be the raid leader for one of their raid teams. The way they're dividing their raid teams up is they have 2 pods, they're calling them. Alpha pod and Bravo pod. And each pod is 50 people so that you can break it up into either 2 25-player runs or 5 Karazhan runs. Makes sense. It works. So what they want me to do is they want me to be the raid leader for Bravo 2, which is the second raid team in the Bravo pod. So the Bravo 1 raid leader will be kind of in charge of the whole raid pod, and then I would kind of help them with all that stuff. And then you get 2 assistant raid leaders to go with you. And like I said, it's all super organized. And I thought, okay, so I've never actually done raid leading myself. I've always assisted with it. I've always helped. Or I've done, the raid leader's out this week, I'm going to jump in and take over. But never as, "Hi, I'm your new raid leader, and I'm going to be in charge of all of this stuff." So we talked it through, and I agreed to it, and they sent me all of the information. So yeah, now I'm the raid leader for a 25-player raid team, which I was not expecting going into this. I had not anticipated this, and I'm excited, but I'm also hella nervous because, like I said, I've never done anything like this before. And while there is some structure there to help me and to catch me if I fall, so to say, it just feels a little weird. And I already suffer from imposter syndrome by doing this podcast and by being part of the content creator community. I feel like I don't really belong here. I don't deserve to be here. Everybody else is so good and I'm terrible. So I don't know. So it's already a struggle for me. And now I'm going to be a raid leader. So what that means is that I'm going to be spending a little bit more time doing some of the prep for raid and doing some organizational stuff to be at that point. And that's fine. So I can do that. And then there's a few personnel things that I have to do and like a twice monthly meeting that I have to attend. Not a huge deal. And so there you go. So I will be talking a lot about raid on the show because that's what I'm going to be doing. I wasn't anticipating this, and so I didn't kind of plan for any of this. So I have to kind of come up with what I want to do. My original goal was I was going to start streaming again. I thought, raid, I'm going to just start streaming raid. But if I'm going to be doing more administrative stuff, I don't know if that's going to work. So I'll still give it a try. I'll still try to do some raid streaming, but I don't know. This is more than I was prepared for. So yeah, that's how it went. And now I'm a raid leader, apparently, or allegedly, I should say. So yeah, I'm like I said, I'm scared, but I'm excited at the same time. So there you go. That's what's going on there. That's what I did last week in World of Warcraft. Yeah, this is just weird, but anyway, that's about it. So I don't think there's anything else to bring up, but yeah, that was the big thing, and it was quite the deal. So, all right, let's move on. One thing I wanted to mention before I jump into the news is there's been quite a few posts on Reddit over the past few days, and I say Reddit because that's primarily where I get this sort of information from. I'm sure the same posts are being made on the WoW forums and on MMO Champion and Twitter and all these other places. But Reddit is where I generally spend most of my time. Just my social media drivel is Reddit. So there's a lot of people who are complaining that they rushed to level 70 in Burning Crusade. They got to 70, they got all their pre-bis gear, and they got all of their consumes, and they went into raid, and it was over in just a couple hours, and they're like, well, now what? Dude, you just did everything in a hurry. And, you know, this whole hurry up and wait, or hurry up and finish it so that I don't have to do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. The whole point of this anniversary edition of WoW, and really any version of WoW, if you're playing a video game, the whole idea should be to go and have a good time. And in this case, people are in such a hurry to not be subpar that they're actually completing all the content and now have nothing to do. And it's really frustrating to see. And I feel bad for a lot of these people. I know some people are probably, oh, I was playing retail and I wanted to get to level 70 really quickly because I want to be able to jump back over to midnight when it launches. That's fine. But for the people who this is what they want to be doing, it's odd that they would rush through this content so quickly. And I guess everybody plays the game differently. But for me, I would rather take my time and enjoy the experience. This might be the last time that I do this particular content, because either we're going to get Classic Plus or whatever. I can't imagine that I'm going to go through this cycle again. Oh, vanilla to Burning Crusade. I can't foresee it. So I'm just taking it all in and enjoying myself. It's unfortunate that some people are not taking the time to stop and, smell the dream foil. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. It's not really a forum post of the week, but it's more of just an observation of something that I've seen as I've been going through this process. So, all right, let's move on to the news.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, we have a lot of news to get through, and so I'm going to try and jump through this as quickly as I can, but some things just need to be talked about. First off, Blizzard has announced a new Waze voice pack with Xal'atath as your guide. So if you are familiar with Waze, it's a traffic app that you can use to get directions, and it will tell you the fastest way to get there. Oh, there's traffic this way. There's a police car up ahead, whatever. So there is a Thrall voice pack for it, and Thrall will direct you to where you're going. He doesn't give you turn-by-turn directions. He says things like, turn right, up ahead, turn right, which is some sort of helpful. He also throws in little flavor, like the hills have enemies, or stuff like that. So it's fine. I've used it before, and it's fun. We have Thrall take us places. So now there's a new Xal'atath one, and it's...
Such magnificence awaits us, if you do not stray. Are you truly ready for the path I have prepared?
It's interesting. I've only played around with it a little bit because I didn't have anywhere to go, but there's a little voice pack sample that you can download, and so it's the same deal. She will give you your directions, but not specific. She's not going to tell you, champion, get on Interstate 75 heading to Dayton. No, she doesn't do any of that stuff. She just says, turn left here. So yeah, if you want to download that for Waze, if you use Waze, which I generally use Google Maps, but sometimes I use Waze. So yeah, for me, it's like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Waze, Google Maps. I'll do this for a little bit until it gets old. Which will probably be pretty quick. I like the turn-by-turn directions. I like to hear the name of the street that I'm getting on, because if I'm getting on a main street, fine, whatever. But if I'm expected to know that I'm turning on some random side street, I need to know the name of that street. Don't just say, oh, turn left here. What if it's a driveway right when the phone says that? I need to know the specific name of the street. So anyway, but yeah, that's available for you now. If you want to check that out, you can download that. If you open up the Waze app, it'll just pop up for you. So, all right, there are 2 new Twitch promotions going for Blizzard right now. First is the support a streamer promotion. This one's a little weird, but basically it starts on February 26th with release of Midnight Early Access, and it runs until March 26th. You have to find somebody who's streaming World of Warcraft and purchase 2 gift subs for it doesn't have to be on that one stream. You could do it on 2 different streams or however you want to do it. You just need to purchase 2 gift subs for someone streaming World of Warcraft, and you will receive the Fishmonger May pet, which is a little seal looking thing with a hat. It's cute. It's a cute little pet. The Twitch gift subs, I believe, are like $5 each or something like that. So not free. It's basically a $10 pet. But if you already have a streamer that you like, that you want to gift some subs to, this is a great way to earn a new pet in game. So you can check that out. I do believe you need to have your Battle.net account linked to your Twitch. So I will, as always, put that in the show notes so that you can be reminded on how to do that. But if you are watching Twitch, you probably already have that linked because you've gotten drops in the past. Speaking of drops, there's a new Twitch drop. This is also starting on January 26th. This one starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so a little bit before early access, and this runs until March 24th. This is to watch 4 hours of WoW content on Twitch, and you will receive the Cuddly Alliance Blue Gurgle and Cuddly Horde Red Gurgle plushies for your player housing. So Blizzard's really going in on the plushies as a reward for things outside of the game, like the store, and in this case for your Twitch drops. So I mean, and they're cute. It's a cute little plushie that you can put in your house. I need to get like a whole plushie collection and just set them all up in the creepy plushie room. So that's my plan anyway. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I mean, I'll get these because it's easy. You could put up a Twitch stream of whoever you want and let that go on your second monitor or behind, alt tab out of it. You don't have to sit and just watch the stream. You just need to have it playing on your computer or your phone. I think you could do it on your phone. Anyway, you do need your Battle.net account linked to your Twitch account. So like I said, I will put the link in the show notes on how to do that if you haven't already done it, but it's pretty easy to do. So there you go. And as always, I like to advocate for watching streamers that don't have a large audience. Don't be awkward. Don't point out that they only have one person watching. They know, trust me. Just go in there, watch. If you want to interact with the streamer, that's cool. Some streamers like that. Some streamers don't. Some people just like to get on there and play WoW or whatever they want to do. So, but yeah, I would advocate for going for people who have lower viewer numbers. Just give them a little boost. If you're going on there anyway to get your pets or your plushies or whatever it is, check out some small time streamers. You don't need to go watch whoever, Asmongold or whatever. Please don't watch Asmongold. Right. So yeah, check that out on Twitch. Those are the 2 things that you're going to be getting from either the supporter streamer or the Twitch drops. All right. This is a little meatier of topic. So you may have seen the news last week that Phil Spencer, who is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, has retired as of Monday or Friday last week. So Phil Spencer, I don't know if you know who Phil Spencer is. He came on stage at BlizzCon after Microsoft had purchased Blizzard. He's kind of like the head honcho of all of their gaming empire. He's not just in charge of Xbox, he's in charge of all of it. Or he was. So apparently Phil Spencer has retired from Microsoft and is now going to move on to the next stage in his life. He's been planning this for over a year. And this is something that it wasn't really revealed. So a lot of people were like, oh, did he get fired? No, he decided he wanted to leave and just move on with his life. I'm sure he's made a ton of money from working at Microsoft. And honestly, if I was doing all that stuff, I might want to get to a point where it's just like, you know what? I want to go retire to a farm and just kind of chill and feed my goats or something, So Asha Sharma will be taking over for Phil as the leader of Microsoft Gaming. So a little bit about her. We don't know too much yet, or at least I don't know too much. But she has been part of the Core AI, which was their AI component for gaming. And so now as the head of Microsoft Gaming, you kind of got to wonder if this is something that is pointing towards a more AI focused in gaming. This article here says the leadership change marks a shift in focus for Microsoft's gaming division. Incoming CEO Asha Sharma, formerly of Core AI, is tasked with driving AI-enhanced gaming experiences, moving away from the traditional hardware-focused strategy of the previous era. Phil Spencer has had quite the tenure at Microsoft, starting as an intern in 1988 and working his way up through the divisions. This says that he will remain in an advisory role throughout the summer to support the transition to new leadership. This is interesting because Phil was one of those people that everyone was like, well, he seems like a good guy, but he's very corporate, so it's hard to tell. People thought the same thing about Mike Ybarra, like, oh, he seems like a cool guy, but he's very corporate. Turns out Mike Ybarra is kind of a problem. He's got some issues that people have pointed out on Twitter. Phil Spencer, again, it's really hard to be in charge of something and to also be the cool guy, because not everyone can be the Costco CEO where he's like, no, don't change the price of the hot dog, keep it at $1.50 or whatever. You got to make hard decisions, and you've got to do difficult things that are not necessarily going to be popular. And Phil Spencer did his fair share of unpopular things, unpopular with the player base, maybe not necessarily unpopular with the shareholders, but that's the nature of business, especially in the United States. One other thing that happened as a result of this, which I think is really, I think is very unfortunate. So a lot of people assumed that Sarah Bond, who was the Xbox president, was going to be taking over for Phil Spencer when he did inevitably retire. Sarah Bond left the company the same day that Phil Spencer did. So a lot of people are speculating that when he retired, instead of saying, yes, Sarah, we want you to take over now, they said, we're not going to give you the position, at which point she left. Because why would you stay in a job that you've been groomed for a certain position for years, and then when it finally came time for you to get it, they said, no, we're not going to give it to you. I would leave that moment. I would not wait around. I would be like, thank you very much. Goodbye. So no doubt this is something that's been planned for a while, and they arranged it a certain way so that for the optics of the situation. But regardless, it's a really big shakeup at Xbox and at Microsoft Gaming in general. How this is going to affect Blizzard and World of Warcraft, we don't know. I know that Matt Booty, he is the I forget that he was like president of Xbox Gaming or something. I don't know. There's a whole shakeup in leadership, and everyone has shifted positions, or left the company at the top level of their gaming division. So, will there be some changes at Blizzard? It's possible. We could see some changes. We still do know that there was a push from their CFO, from the Microsoft CFO, to increase their revenue to 30%. Whether or not that's even feasible, we don't know. But this, I'm sure, could be one of the reasons why Phil Spencer is retiring. He doesn't want to oversee that. And if AI is the future of gaming, then no doubt we're going to see a lot more AI integration in terms of things like, maybe not development, but maybe things like Q&A. If you create an AI and teach it how to QA something, you could, in theory, save a lot of money. Now, is that going to work? Are we going to get quality assurance like we're getting now, which is basically none? Probably. But in theory, that's the type of job that AI could do. It could say, hey, this isn't working. I'm getting this error. I'm seeing this issue. I don't know. I'm not a huge advocate of AI replacing people's jobs. I really feel like that's unfortunate, but there are certain jobs that, if your career is a quality assurance tester, yeah, that's going to suck. For anyone else, it doesn't really make a difference. If I could have a computer check my code when I write code for something, or check my script and say, hey, this isn't going to work because of these reasons, I think that would be really cool. Now, do I want to replace somebody who's being paid to do that? No. But if I already didn't have somebody who was being paid for it and it just helped me, then that would be good. So it's a fine line. It's a delicate balance to attain there. And I don't know. I feel like this is a little gross, and I worry about people's jobs at Microsoft and Blizzard. Honestly, I feel like we're going to lose another round of or we're going to have another round of layoffs and lose more people. So, and that never feels good. So, all right. Anyway, yeah, that's the deal. We don't know where Sarah Bond is going to end up. She'll probably get snatched up by another studio or another company and lead that. But as of right now, both Sarah and Phil are essentially unemployed. So that's where we are. All right, let's move on with the news because, like I said, this one, it's a little meaty, and I hate talking about corporate stuff because then it always gets into layoffs and replacing jobs, and that never feels good. But it is the reality, unfortunately, of the world that we live in, is that these companies are here to make money first and foremost. And that's just the way it is. So, all right. Moving on. In Classic, Phase 4 PTR development notes for Mists of Pandaria Classic Escalation have been released by Blizzard. We still don't know when this is going to be released, but the post that was on the forums did indicate that it's going to be a few weeks of testing. So I would suspect that we'll probably see this sometime around the end of March, beginning of April, which would kind of coincide with we're supposed to be getting Phase 5, the Siege of Orgrimmar, around or in summer. So I'm guessing this can be sometime around July. So we go April, July for this escalation patch. That makes sense. Not a ton of content in here. There's a new quest campaign, Escalation, Darkspear Trolls, and open rebellion against the Warchief. Aid your faction in preparing to drive Garrosh Hellscream from Orgrimmar. Okay, that's cool. There's Battlefield Barons during the rebellion against Garrosh Hellscream and put the stranglehold on Orgrimmar by undermining the Kor'kron supply chains in the Northeast Barrens. Again, it's giving you a little bit of content to do. That's really it for the new content. There's a little bit more to the legendary quest campaign, Journey with Wrathion to the Four Corners of Pandaria, to speak with the August Celestials, who reward you for your efforts with a level 600 cloak with a prismatic socket. Woo, finally getting somewhere. Brawlers Guilds will be available. Test your skill and show off your encounter expertise against 2 new ranks of bosses. Rank 8 and 9 bosses have appeared in the guild. So just more Brawlers Guild stuff. Now, this does say that Blood-Soaked Invitation is easily accessible to help with testing in the beta. Once patch 5.5.1 is live, it will be available via Black Market Auction House and specific rare mobs in Krasarang Wild. So still not available to everyone, but it's there. So anybody who's going on the PTR and thinking, oh my God, this is so easy, it's because they're testing it. They want you to get in there and test it. So there are 4 new scenarios available to both factions: Blood in the Snow, Dark Heart of Pandaria, Secrets of Rage Fire, and Battle on the High Seas. You can queue for those scenarios through your group finder, and the Blood in the Snow and Dark Heart of Pandaria are part of the Alliance and Horde Escalation campaign. And then finally, there is the heroic scenarios. So heroic difficulty versions of scenarios have been added and are designed to provide challenging content for small groups of well-seasoned adventurers. Completing a heroic scenario awards valor and a chance to obtain high-level epic quality items. Yeah, so the scenarios were fine. I didn't really love the scenarios, but they were fine. The heroic scenarios, I felt like, what was the point? It's you're just getting your valor points. So whatever. 6 heroic scenarios will be available in Escalation. 4 are new, and 2 are upgrades of existing normal scenarios: Battle on the High Seas, Blood in the Snow, Dark Heart of Pandaria, Secrets of Rage Fire, Crypt of the Forgotten Kings, and A Brewing Storm. Dark Heart of Pandaria was terrible. I hated that one. Okay, and that's what's going on there. I feel bad talking about Mists of Pandaria Classic because a lot of people still play it, and a lot of people are still enjoying that content. But it almost feels like a reminder of, oh, that's right, we still have Mists of Pandaria Classic. I don't know, it's just weird. But yeah, so probably around April for this, beginning of April, late March, early April, and then I would suspect late June, early July for Siege of Orgrimmar. But we don't know. It's all speculation, so we'll see. All right, let's move on to a modern World of Warcraft. So we have a couple things here. World of Warcraft has partnered with Zillow. This one was too funny. So there was a whole video on this, which got released. I think it was released from the Zillow YouTube account, but either way, it's basically they're doing this whole fake realtor thing where it's like, ooh, look at these properties that you can buy, and of course you can't buy them. It's all just like a mock-up. But so far, what I can tell, the only thing that you can get is like a little welcome mat decor item for your house, which I can't even figure out where to buy more of them, but it's just a rectangular little welcome mat. It's not very big. It doesn't do a whole lot. You can't dye it, so you can't change it and have it replace the circular wool rug. So it's kind of whatever. But yeah, this is a thing that you can get from going to it's like Zillow for Warcraft or something like that. I don't know, whatever. So check that out if you want to get the free decor item. And then really looking at the other homes on there, the idea is to give you some inspiration on how to decorate your own house. I still feel like the best way to do that is to get on YouTube and watch some of these either the housing streamers or just content creators. They're giving some really good lessons on how to build your house and how to build certain components and how to design furniture and things like that. I think it's really cool. But yeah, so this is a partnership that they've worked up. The other thing that they set up, and I talked about this last week, that they had posted this on their Instagram page, but this is share your Azeroth home with the new Panomatic camera. So this is going to be a interface in WoW that you can use to take pictures of your house and share them on your Pinterest, which is cool, except that after it launched, people were getting banned from Pinterest because they were using this feature. So I guess they're working on it and trying to figure it out. But yeah, so you'll be able to post on Pinterest your screenshots of your house. So that's really cool too. I mean, again, I don't use Pinterest, but for the people that do, hey, why not? Okay. So Blizzard did release a preview of the Prey system. Hunt or be hunted with the Prey system. I haven't seen a whole lot on Prey. And for me, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be any good. I'm not really excited about this. I don't know. It looks kind of interesting. So basically, join the hunt by speaking with Magister Astalor Bloodsworn in Murder Row in Silvermoon City. Here you'll take on the challenge of hunting a specific target. Once you have a target, you can continue your travels through the zones as you normally would. You will also be able to engage with several new prey-specific gameplay mechanics and unique world quests. Stay on your toes, as your prey might find you before you find them. How and when you detect your prey is meant to be unpredictable, and it could take any number of activities or discoveries before you see them, or they see you. Unlock 3 difficulty levels as you progress: normal, hard, and nightmare. While in normal difficulty, other players will be able to come to your aid and help you take down your target in the outdoor world. Once you've reached hard and nightmare difficulties, you'll need to contend with extra abilities on your enemy called torments, or affixes, that make both the hunt and the final fight considerably more challenging. You and your friends will be on your own in your final encounter to take them down. No raid groups here. And then the rewards: earn a variety of cosmetic rewards to add to your collections, including mounts, such as Maneth Worm-themed mounts, and transmog appearances. You will also be able to earn power rewards up to the hero track, and will also contribute to the Great Vault outdoor activity slot each week. So it just gives you some additional Great Vault slots that you can open up. And it also, you can earn cosmetic rewards for it. And I'm assuming you're going to be able to get crests. And that's what they mean by power-up rewards. So we'll see. Again, with the outdoor track in the Great Vault, they're really keeping that limited to the hero track, which does make sense. You want to get myth track, you've got to either go into raid or go into a mythic plus dungeon. Those are the only ways you're going to get myth track. Otherwise, you are limited to hero track, which, to be perfectly honest, if you're not going into raid or mythic plus, hero track is perfectly fine. That's the most you'll ever need. You don't need to feel less than because you're sporting full hero track. You should feel less than if you have greens and you're like, I don't have any gear. Okay, yeah, then that sucks. But if you're rocking some hero track gear because you were doing prey, you were doing delves, you were doing whatever, then great. I think that's good enough for 90% of the people out there. Some people are trying to use the world activity slot as a springboard into raids and Mythic Plus. And for those people, I will say, you're better off just going into Mythic Plus and and slugging through that, because you're never going to get to the point where you feel adequate to take on those additional challenges if what you're doing is delves and prey. It's a completely different world. And certainly for raid, getting into mythic raid is so challenging because you have to be part of a group. It's limited to 20 people. It's a completely different world. And I think that Blizzard has actually done a really good job of creating these distinctions, and here's how the game is played. There is a certain level of gameplay that is expected of World of Warcraft players. And for 99% of the gameplay that happens in WoW, you're getting non-myth track gear. The only way you can get myth track from Mythic Plus is by doing a 10, and when that only gives you a great vault slot of myth track. You cannot run Mythic Plus and be rewarded with myth track gear. It doesn't happen. The highest you can get is hero track. So the only way to actually go get a myth track piece of gear is by doing mythic raids. So if you're getting hero track gear, it's good enough. So anyway, that's what's going on with Prey. I'm really interested to see how this goes. And there's a video that, I forget the YouTuber's name now. Anyway, they put out a video that was kind of giving a quick overview of this. And I just assumed it was going to be all monsters, but this is like people. Like one of them was a gnome, and I was like, oh, okay. So this is like it's like a bounty hunter system, which I thought was kind of cool. So anyway, I will give this a fair shake. The Prey system, I'll give it a fair shake, but my expectations are not high. So that's how it goes. All right, the final news item that I wanted to discuss. Let's talk about this Lady Liadrin animation that was released. All That Is Sacred. Holy shit, this thing was amazing. Now, I've heard it before, and I agree, and I will continue to say this. They need to do this animation style as just a show. Netflix or whatever, I don't care. They need to produce this animation as a regular series, because oh man, it was so good. First of all, for those of you who haven't watched it, go watch that and then come back. If you don't want to and you just want to move on to the podcast, you can skip on to the what's going on this week in World of Warcraft tab, because that it'll be in the show notes. You can just click on that or move to that timestamp. But I need to talk about this for a second. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Liadrin had to kill her father as a scourge. Holy moly. That really just, that draws a lot in. And I don't know Liadrin as well as Horde players might, because 99% of the time I'm playing Alliance. But I've always thought she's an interesting character. And this just gave it a whole new dimension. So the cinematic starts off with Liadrin as a child with her father at the Sunwell looking at it. And she asks him to explain, oh, what is the father? What's the light? And then it cuts to the invasion of Silvermoon, not Lordaeron, the invasion of Silvermoon by the Scourge forces during the Third War with Arthas, because he needed the Sunwell. And I think he needed the Sunwell because he wanted to resurrect Kel'Thuzad or something like that. Anyway, doesn't matter. Warcraft 3. If you've played it, you've played it. If you haven't, it doesn't really matter. The point is, she was there with her father again, defending Silvermoon from the invading Scourge. And her father gets killed by one of the, big fat guys with the chains. And it's a very touching and sad moment, watching her father get yoinked away. And it did not feel good. So then it cuts to modern day, and air quotes modern day, outside of Lordaeron, and Liadrin's there, and she sees an undead ambling towards her, and her hand instinctively goes to her sword. And then we see the character come into frame, and it's Alonzus Fowl, who is the leader of the priest order hall, whatever. Again, one of those characters I haven't interacted with a whole bunch, but I know of Alonzus. And so they're arguing back and forth about, hey, we need to do more because, Silvermoon's going to come under attack, blah, blah, blah. And then he points out, hey, I saw you put your hand on your sword. So what's up with that, bitch? And then she gives the big reveal, which is, she was she was fighting off the scourge, and then finally one came up to her, and it was her father as an undead who had just been killed, and she had to kill him. And it's awful. I mean, I'm not a big, crier when it comes to stuff like this, but man, when she was going through and whacking at her, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to die. So yeah, that one was brutal. And then it brings back to the present. And, Alonso says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you had to kill your own father. It sucks." And at that moment, they get attacked by the Scarlet Crusade. And the Scarlet Crusade is there, and they're like, "Hey, Elf, you can go. We just want the undead guy." And so she's like, "Oh, what's up?" And so then she busts out all her awesome prop paladin stuff with the hammer, and knocking one guy out. She busts out her wings, and then finally ending with her Avenger shield, throwing it at the different guys. I mean, it's so cool. It's so well done, because it's not like, hey, I'm casting the spell now. It's just, this is how combat goes for these characters and these classes. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it. That's one I've watched it a few times now. And every time I've watched it, I'm like, this is good. This is good. I really like this. So I want more of this content, Blizzard. Please give it to us now. All right. That's it. That's all I'm going to say on that. Go watch it if you haven't watched it. If you have watched it, you know why I'm so jazzed about this. It's so well done. It's so good. I can't say enough about it. Yeah, they need to do more of this. I don't know how long it takes to produce something like that. It's got to be a lot of time. But I mean, I feel like it'd be easier to produce this than to produce like a live action World of Warcraft show or something. I would watch, if they did a animated series like this, I'd watch the hell out of that. All right. That's it for the news. Let's move on to what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. The bonus event for this week is the War Within Dungeon event. Maybe a little late for this one, but hey, you know what? Whatever. You'll get the Sign of the Warrior buff. The final boss of each War Within dungeon will drop an extra item. Remember, this only applies for heroic and mythic dungeons, and in this case, it will only apply for War Within dungeons. It will not apply for any midnight dungeons. You can pick up the quest Emissary of War from Archivist for Thrune in Dornogal to complete 4 dungeons on mythic difficulty, and you'll be rewarded with a hero track raid item. So that's cool, I guess. It's just weird timing. I don't know that anyone's going to be doing this. Maybe some people will. Who knows? But there will be some people who don't have early access, and those people will want something to do. Fine. But yeah, it's weird. Also, I'm really excited that I'm hoping that this is the last time I have to say Archivist for Thrune in Dornogal, because I hated saying that. So I'm really looking forward to whatever comes next. The PvP brawl for the week is Gravity Lapse. Gravity getting you down. Step into the Eye of Storm and be prepared for a whole new enlightening experience. Every minute, players on the battlefield will find themselves launched into the air, only to gently fall toward the ground again in perpetual aerial ballet as they try to accrue enough resources to take the win home for their team. When you zone in, you'll get the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you will be rewarded with Conquest Honor and Marks of Honor. Yeah, so again, if you want a PvP this week, cool, go for it. It's not like it makes a difference. I don't know if you can spend your Conquest points at this rate. Anyway, doesn't matter. If you want to check out the PvP brawl, go ahead and do that. Gravity Lapse is probably one of my least favorite ones, partly because I also hate Eye of the Storm, but it's a thing, and you can go do it. So, all right. The Lunar Festival will run until March 2nd, so that's going to end on the same day that Midnight officially releases. So make sure you get that done. Like I said, there's a few new rewards that you can get. Or just recolors of the existing rewards. But yeah, check out the Lunar Festival that will run until March 2nd. The Outland Cup starts on February 24th and will run until March 9th. Now, again, it's on the schedule. It's the time for this, but I don't think we're getting anything new for it. And I don't really feel like it's something that, if you don't do it, you're not going to miss out. But I think you'll get badges that you can spend on gear if there is new gear that gets released. So maybe you want to do it for that purpose. Yeah. If nothing else, This gives you something to do until Midnight releases on the 26th of February or the 2nd of March, depending on whether or not you have early access. So this is just something to do. And it will run until March 9th. And the Dragon Riding Races are fun. I never finished the Outland Cup, so maybe I'll do it for the achievement. Who knows? And finally, the Dark Moon Fair is in town. Yeah. You know I love the fair. And this one's going to be weird because it starts on March 1st, which is Sunday. And then on Monday, March 2nd, it will switch over to midnight. So I'm not sure how this is going to work. We'll see. But yeah, check out the fair. It'll start this Sunday on March 1st. So yeah, it's just we'll talk about it again next week because maybe we'll have a better idea of how everything is going to work. There's a lot of questions going into a new expansion launch that we just don't know. Blizzard doesn't always tell us everything, and sometimes it's just okay to go and experience and go, oh, that's how this works. You don't always need some idiot on a microphone telling you, hey, here's how this works. So, all right, let's move on to our main topic of the week.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
So as you may or may not know, World of Warcraft Midnight is going to launch in the next week. That's right. Early access will be available on February 26th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and the general release will be March 2nd, also at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Midnight is the 11th expansion for World of Warcraft, and it is the second chapter of the World Soul Saga after the War Within, and will be followed up with The Last Titan. This is all the stuff that everybody knows, but I'm just repeating it here because I'm trying to consolidate everything that we have and everything that we know into one quick and dirty here's what's going on. So before I get into all of the details, let's just have a quick recap on the story so far going into Midnight, because since this is a continuation of the previous expansion, the stories kind of blend into each other. So if you recall, The War Within, the story is pretty straightforward. We go to Khazalgar because we think that there's going to be an attack there, and it turns out we were tricked to go there by Xal'atath. She blows up Dalaran. She seemingly kills Khadgar. And then we have to go fight the Nerubians. We defeat the Nerubians. Turns out Xal'atath was just using them to get us to Khazalgar in the first place. What she really wanted was to steal the power of Beladar, the giant crystal that switches between light and void. She's trying to get the power from that. Valeria shoots the Dark Heart out of her hands. She has to go to Undermine to get it repaired. While it's in Undermine, it gets stolen by the Ethereals. The Ethereals use it to summon Dimensius. Dimensius comes back, and then we have to team up with Xal'atath to defeat him. And then at the end, seemingly, Dimensius and Xal'atath both get trapped inside the Dark Heart. Now, as you know from the ending raid cinematic, Xal'atath is not trapped. She, in fact, kills Locust Walker the second he touches the Dark Heart and comes back to taunt Ilaria, saying, next time I see you, I'm going to kill everyone you love, or something like that. Whatever. So Ilaria, pissed, obviously, she goes on the hunt after Xal'atath. Meanwhile, we have Erator. Now, Erator is the son of Ilaria and Turalyon. Now, Ilaria and Turalyon went missing after the Second War when they went through the Dark Portal to close it from the other side. So they went there with Khadgar, what's his name? Trollbane, Wildhammer, a couple of other ones. The people who we met when we went to the Burning Crusade in Outlands, Deneth Trollbane. Like, what is this guy's name? He was in the whole quest line in Erathor. Anyway, or the Arathi Highlands. So, like, suddenly drawing a blank on every name. So Erator is their son, and he was raised by his aunt Varisa, who is the sister of Valeria and Sylvanas. Now, Erator starts having these visions, and he decides he wants to recruit help to go save Silvermoon. So he can't find his mom, so he goes to find his aunt, and his aunt's like, well, yeah, okay, but you need to go talk to your other aunt. So he goes to the mall, talks to Sylvanas. Ends up that, we're going to work with Erator in the beginning of Midnight to help protect Silvermoon. But what's really interesting about this whole storyline is at the end of it, we get the cinematic with Xal'atath basically sucking the essence of one of the ethereals into the Dark Heart and using that to power the Void Spire that will send her and her army from Voidstorm into Azeroth. Now, we know all this because Ilaria was there. She followed this ethereal to the Voidstorm, and after the ethereal is killed, Ilaria is essentially stuck there. So probably what's going to happen is that we won't meet up with Ilaria again until we get to Voidstorm, and then she'll be there kind of like Tyrande running around killing stuff. It's a really interesting cinematic, though, because at the end of it, Xal'atath looks like she drained the Darkheart. So I'm not sure what the plan here is, if she's going to try to corrupt the Sunwell and turn it void and then use that to I don't know. We'll see how the story goes. But that's where the story ends up. So Ilaria is trapped in Voidstorm. Erator is in Silvermoon preparing the defense. And Sylvanas is still in the maw because she's like, I ain't going nowhere, bro. So that's where all of our characters are lined up for the launch of Midnight. I think that's everybody. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So like I said, Midnight, dates and times, early access release February 26th, general release March 2nd. The raid season doesn't start until March 17th, and it will unlock different things every week until April 7th, when we finally get the March on Quel'Danas raid finder and story mode. That will be the week of April 7th, week 4 of season 1. So it's going to be this kind of slow rollout of everything. But yeah, we'll get our Race to World first starting on March 24th, and then it'll go from there. That one's going to be really interesting because we have 3 raids. So I don't know how that's going to go. And if there's going to be like some, we don't know. We'll have to see. We'll get more info on that, I'm sure, from the guilds who are going to be participating in that. Remember, the Race to World First is not a Blizzard-sponsored event. They are aware of it, and in a lot of cases, they kind of support it, but it's not their event. It's run by these Race to World First guilds. So whatever they decide they want to do, or whatever they agree on, is how this is going to go. So if all those guilds kind of collectively decide Dreamrift isn't part of the Race to World First, then okay. Or maybe some random guild will kill Dreamrift first and everyone will be like, we don't care. Or that'll help them and give them more popularity and drive up their recruitment. We don't know. We'll see. But the Voidspire raid and then the March on Quel'Danas raid, those are the 2 main storyline raids. So, all right. So here's what we're going to get in the early access. Here's what's actually going to launch on the 26th of February, and that you'll be able to do. So if you do have early access, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get new zones, 4 new zones, Eversong Woods, a part of the kingdom of Quel'Thalas. It is comprised of the newly combined zones of Eversong Woods and Ghostlands, and has been expanding and reimagined with enhanced graphics. Silvermoon stands as its shining capital. So Eversong Woods, they just take the entire Blood Elf starting area from Burning Crusade and turn it into one giant zone. Like the same way that they turned the Alterac Mountains and Hillsbrad Foothills into one giant zone. Same thing. It's still the same stuff. It's just they're updating the graphics. They've updated the storyline. Obviously, the quests are different. Some of the areas are going to look and feel a little bit different, but it still has the same vibe of that whole Eversong Woods Silvermoon experience that I didn't enjoy as playing a Blood Elf back in Burning Crusade. But I recognize that a lot of people love it, and a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia. So for the sake of the people who really enjoy and appreciate this, I hope Blizzard has nailed it. I know that I was so unhappy with how Blizzard treated the Night Elf areas after the Cataclysm, and then again after Battle for Azeroth. I felt like they didn't treat it with enough respect. They didn't reward us with that experience that we all enjoyed so much from leveling up there. So I hope that this one works. Zulaman, which is the new expanded zone and home of the Monty Trolls. It is a temperate region with forests and mountains. This one, if you look at the map, you can see how the map has changed over the years. Map of the Eastern Kingdoms, but this like a giant section of the Eastern Kingdoms that just jutting out to kind of house this new area. You know, map modifications and adjustments over the years have been part of World of Warcraft. The original WoW world map if you remember from back in 2004, didn't even have Silithus on it. Or it had Silithus, it didn't have Encourage. And then we got the little Encourage boot that came in there. And then eventually in Cataclysm, we had new zones added, and then so on and so forth. So the map is an evolving part of the world, but you know, it's a game, right? This is not based on a real map. They're just making this up. So it's okay if the map changes and they go, actually, this was here all along. Okay, that's fine. I'll buy it. Harandar, which is the home of the Haranir, found among the roots of the world trees, is a fungal jungle. Whoever wrote that must have been cackling with delight. It is a fungal jungle alight with bioluminescence, whereas people live in harmony with nature around them. The Haranir are kind of cool, interesting, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about them. And finally, Voidstorm. Void suffuses this hostile zone of all-consuming cosmic predation. The creatures who reside here are rife with a deep hunger and are keen to devour anything and anyone to gain power. Alongside our allies, we'll storm the Voidspire raid here as we take the fight to Xal'atath. Cool. So there you go. Those are the 4 new zones that we're going to get. We have 8 new dungeons: Windrunner Spire, Magister's Terrace, Murder Row, Den of Nalarak, Mysara Caverns, the Blinding Veil, Nexus Point Zenith, and Void Scar Arena. You know, the dungeons look pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. The dungeons look pretty cool. I'm kind of excited about that. So we're gonna get to level 90. That's gonna be the main thing that we're gonna get to be able to do in the early access. You're not gonna be able to do a whole bunch of other stuff, but the zones, basically you're gonna go from Eversong, then you can choose between Zulaman and Harandar, and then you can go to the Voidstorm. That's just the leveling flow, so you get kind of that fork. And that's fine. And then the dungeons themselves, looks like, and again, we don't know everything that's going to happen in the final launch, but Windrunner Spire is going to be level 81, Murder Row level 83, Voidscar Arena level 85, Den of Nalarak level 86, and everything else will be level 90. So if you want to run dungeons, if that's how you're looking to level, those are going to be your milestones. Basically, once you get to 81, you can just slam dungeons the whole way, if that's what you want to do. The Haranir allied race will not be available at full release. That you have to wait. Will not be available early access. You have to wait until full release to be able to create your Haranir. You can do the quest line to unlock them. You just can't unlock them until March 2nd. Same thing with the praise system. I do not believe this will be available in early access. This is going to be a full release only system, and I think that you won't really be able to do much with it until the season starts. I'm not sure how that's going to go. Again, we'll learn more as we go. Player housing obviously is already in the game, and I don't think that any new content will come in early access. I think we're going to have to wait for full release for that as well. Profession system, you will be able to do full professions until I obviously you're not going to be able to get your I can't remember what they're called now, the little crest things that you get to make the epic gear. You won't be able to do that. But if you have mining or skinning, you'll be able to level that stuff up. It won't be a big deal. So professions fully available. You just won't have the mats fully available for your professions. So, and then delves, all delves will be available from level 1 to level 4, except for the Darkway and Parhelion Plaza, which will release on March 24th and March 31st, respectively. So there you go. That's what's launching with Midnight Early Access this week on February 26th. I'm going to be there. I have to balance now between running or leveling up in Midnight and getting ready for raid in the Burning Crusade now that I'm raid leading, apparently. But leveling in WoW is usually pretty quick, so it's not going to be too big of a deal. I'm really excited about this. I've gone back and forth on whether or not I think that this is going to be a good expansion or not. I think it is. I think that they're really focusing on story here. The content itself doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of meat for us to kind of pick on. You know, we've already got our player housing. We already have Devourer Demon Hunters. We already have Void Elf Demon Hunters. We already have the stat squish. There's a lot of things that have already happened. So what we're going to get that's new is not a ton of stuff. But as we saw from the roadmap video a few weeks ago, Blizzard are planning to release a lot of content over the next few months, and in fact over the next year. So I'm really excited to see how it goes and to see what we end up with. So I'm really hoping that the midnight launch is a success and players are enjoying it. So all right, that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. As I always say, it feels weird doing this sort of thing. I was talking to my good friend Dave Gagne from the Solo Queue, and it's just, I don't know. I'm having a lot of trouble with this sort of thing, with putting my content out there and talking to people and feeling like, I have something to say. Sometimes I feel like I have nothing to say. I shouldn't even put out an episode this week. I'm just going to disappear quietly into the night. And then I come on here and do it, and it works. And it's like, well, okay, maybe I'll do it another week. But regardless, I'm having a good time and I'm really enjoying this. And Dave, I really wanted to say thank you for pointing out the Ardenweald music. I do love that music. And every week I go in and I manually transition the sounds, because it's, my outro is a different length of time every week. So I have to go in there and tweak the different soundtracks manually. But yes, I do love the Ardenweald music. So, and I'm glad you're enjoying the Night Watchers. So we'll just talk back and forth in our podcast. That's how we're going to do this now. If you're enjoying the show and you would like to help us out, you could consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those really help out with the distribution methods that they use. It's basically their algorithms. But if you want to help us out, that's a way you could do that. Leaving a review or a comment would be great, because I can read those on the air, and that's really cool. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can help us out by giving us a like and a comment and a subscribe. I'm still doing the YouTube videos. I know I wasn't sure if I was going to continue doing it or not. For now, I'm going to keep going with it. Like I said, I always have these great plans of all these YouTube videos I want to make, and I never make any of them because I get busy. But, one day, maybe I will. Right. Other ways you can get in contact, or you can get in contact with us through various methods. Twitter, X, those both help really well for Twitter, or Blue Sky, sorry. I'm all distracted now after that. I'm all thrown off. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can reach me on Twitter or Blue Sky. I'm at Denethar on both of those platforms. Or you can go to our website, which is AzerothUnitedPod.com. You'll have the link to the Discord, to the Azeroth United Twitter and Blue Sky accounts, which I don't need to go into all that. But yeah, get on the Discord server, jump on there and say hi. That's probably the best way to communicate with me if you want to talk to me, or just come and hang out. It's a cool deal. So yeah, Azeroth United Pod for that. The other way you can help out the show, I should have mentioned this earlier, is you can join our Patreon. Patreon is where people can give their IRL money to help out with the production of the show. And honestly, it's really cool that people do that, and it makes me really happy. So I did want to say thank you to all of our top tier patrons, which is our friend of the show tier. That's Stuglife, Theliel, Greybeard, and Raven. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it. You guys definitely help make Azeroth United possible. And there you go. That's it. That's the whole show. Remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real person on the other side of that keyboard. And you know what? Maybe they like playing classic, or they want to play the price system in Midnight, or who knows. Doesn't matter. Maybe they're a big Phil Spencer fanboy and they're just bummed out that he left and he's retired. Doesn't matter. You can just be nice and smile and just be kind to one another. That's what this world needs more than anything else, is just compassion and kindness to our fellow human beings. All right. Take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.